Hello and welcome back to the channel. So as you all are most likely aware, I'm quoting the Sun here. Sun's a tabloid in the UK which is absolutely trash, but they're not wrong in this instant. Are you serious? Xbox Series X sells out within minutes as gamers flock to online stores to pre-order Microsoft's new console. Yes, so the Xbox Series X and Slim version have sold out, and this is globally. By globally, I mean it's also sold out in Japan. Japan of all places. There we go. This is sort of quite the spin on everyone saying nobody wants to buy an Xbox. It's not popular. Nobody wants one. Nobody buys a console for power, exclusives, blah blah blah. That's pretty much what we've heard for 7 years. So it's sold out everywhere. I mean, a lot of people could jump on this now saying, yeah, they probably didn't have many to purchase, but you can say the same story to PS5, can't you? There wasn't that many on the to pre-order as well, and because we've seen that actually Sony stating that, or trying to avoid stating that. We've seen a lot of other people like Bloomberg saying they don't actually. Well, actually, originally Sony did come out and say they didn't have many of them. Then they retracted it because I think they just wanted to lie to gamers. They didn't want to put them off for the pre-orders. So Bloomberg came out and said yes, they don't have many to sell, and then Sony said no, we've got loads to sell, and they sold out. Same as happened to Xbox, but Xbox didn't report any such news. They didn't report any real shortage of consoles or anything, and they've sold out, and they're saying it's a record high, and I believe them. Why? Because it's sold out in Japan. The Xbox has sold out in Japan. When you could come back at me and say, yeah, they might have only have 5 on the shelves, but then they might have only have 5 PS5s on the shelves, and they've sold out. It's the same argument. But the difference here is this is an Xbox selling out in Japan. Fundamentally, it's been sort of regarded as a no-go console in Japan. Previous generations, it's just the culture of Japan. They don't really take on well Western items, Western products or market stuff. They like to sell their own. They like to export, but they don't like to import. I'm not going to go into the whole culture thing and how their business works and how their economy works, but they generally don't do it. But still, the Xbox Series X are sold out in Japan. Pre-orders officially opened up at midnight Japan time and quickly sold out at many retailers. The Xbox Series X sold out on Amazon Japan within 20 minutes, or the Xbox Series X sold out an hour later. Japanese retailers all sold out of their Xbox Series X and Xbox S pre-orders in a few hours. The Microsoft store in Japan has sold out. It could be a decent sign for the 2 next generation Xbox consoles. However, we don't know how much stock was provided to any of the retailers. Yes, as they say. But then this goes across the board for anyone, anywhere. We don't know how many are on shelves. For both consoles, there could be one console on the shelf for we know. So it's boasting about selling out, etc., etc., etc. Could be a red herring, or it could not. We won't know until official figures are shown. So I wouldn't jump on all this bandwagon for both sides, for Xbox and PS5. I wouldn't jump on it too soon, but it is quite good news that Xbox is selling out in Japan. That is good. For Sony to sell out in Japan, that won't be a big story. Or Sony to sell out in America, that's not a big story. For Xbox to sell out in Japan, that is massive. That's a massive story. That's a massive thumbs up, in my opinion, just the news. I mean, even if they had 10 on the shelves they sold out, that's probably good for the Xbox. Let's face it, in Japan, because they just hate. Well, they don't hate the console. I won't go into that. But it looks like times could be changing. But this video is really not about sales, because sales are really irrelevant anyway. Xbox are not really pursuing sales, or are they? See, what we're going to go into now is the purchase of Bethsda. Many are saying that the games are going to go multi-platform, and I sort of agree with them. I mean, Phil Spencer did assure everyone that he will honour existing contracts and that, which he has done before previously. So games that are exclusive, open and close brackets, they're exclusive over these games. Deathloop and Ghostwire are exclusive for now on PS5. I don't know if that's going to stay true. There was rumours that it could be timed anyway. So I reckon if there was that possibility, it's going to be a definite. We will definitely see them on Xbox at some point. 6 months, maybe a year, but we definitely see them on Xbox, and it will be in Game Pass. These games will be in Game Pass. But my point is, could Bethesda, could Xbox have acquired all these studios? Because see, the argument is they've spent 7.5 billion, and this is the argument I kind of agree with as well. I'm going to go down this route. They've spent 7.5 billion to own Bethesda and all the other studios, ZeniMax I should say, and all the studios. I think there's 7 or 8 studios under that to produce games. Right. So the way they're going to make the money back is, as most people are arguing, which I can't agree with. I'm not going to say they're wrong. That they're going to make their games multi-platform, so they're going to sell their games on PS4. Now, however, the flip side to this argument is, firstly, these new studios ain't going to be making games for this generation. Very unlikely they're going to be making games for the Xbox One or the PS4. They're going to be making next generation games. Now, secondly, this is the twist of it. People are saying that they wouldn't give up that market share. They wouldn't give up 110 consoles. They wouldn't give blah blah blah. They wouldn't not give up the possible income from the PS4 generates. Now, the two leading points on this is, one, Sony didn't seem to care about that. Sony didn't seem to care that they're giving up by putting their games on Xbox. They're losing 50 million possible extra revenue they could be making from the 50 million consoles sold. So 50 million, it expands their market by 50 million. Sony didn't care about that, firstly. So, and it didn't affect them none, did it? Secondly, when we go into next generation, PS5 won't have 110 million consoles. So any new games launched for these consoles, Microsoft could be looking at it now thinking, we'll see how this goes, which pretty much was how Phil said it. To answer the question everyone is asking, Phil Spencer tells Diana Bass that Xbox plans to honour the PS5 exclusivity. Future Bethesda games will be on Xbox, PC, and other consoles on a case-by-case basis. Now, we assume that case-by-case could mean the games, depending on the games and how popular, but it also could mean how popular the PS5 is. See, if the PS5 bombs, if it's nowhere near, let's say Xbox Series X releases, and it just flies, and it has the success of PS4 has, then will they make their games multiplat? Will they need to put their games? Because at the same time, you got to see, Xbox are trying to sell Game Pass. Phil wants to sell Game Pass. Microsoft now wants to sell Game Pass. That's going to be their main source of income. To sell Game Pass, it needs exclusives that everyone's complained about. Everyone's pushed Xbox to sell exclusives, to have exclusives. So is there the need to put games on PS5? Next gen, both consoles reset, basically. They start at 0, and then whatever console has the most of from launch, that's the market space for those consoles. As I said, these games are very unlikely going to be cross-gen. They're just going to be exclusive to the PS5 or to the Xbox Series X. These games are just going to be exclusive, aren't they, to that generation? They're not going to be cross-gen. So, if you think about it, what's the reasoning that Microsoft has to put these games on PS5? Other than people whining and crying, saying it's not fair, what's the real reason? You could say they wouldn't give up that market, but there is no market now. The consoles have reset. They're both at 0, and then they're both going to be whatever they sell from launch of those consoles. So both consoles could have, let's just say, remember, I've shown it in previous videos, Sony have only made 10 to 11 million consoles in the first year. So there's only going to be 11 million consoles, PS5s, in the first year at the maximum. Okay? Let's just assume the same as for Xbox Series X. So both consoles are going to have 10 million consoles, say, within a year. So what's the reasoning that Xbox have to put their games onto PS5 for those extra just 10 million units sold? Now you're going to come and go, oh, because you ain't going to give up on 10 million. Sony did it. Sony have always done it. Sony have always given up on whatever Xbox sold, both sides have done it. 360 did it. Whatever, regardless how many PS3s were sold, Xbox still exclusives. Now, regardless of how many Xbox sold, PS4 wouldn't open its exclusives up to that market. They don't care about that market, do they? Now, in addition to this, we've got Xbox is now their games are going to PC, so they're going to have that much market space anyway, more than Sony. They've also got xCloud now, so their games are going to go into mobile, going to be on mobile phones, which basically, let's be honest, trumps everything. Anyone with a Samsung phone can now play Xbox games on Game Pass. So is there now the need to make their games exclusive, to make their games multiplayer? Is there now a need to put their games on PS5? Will they really make that much of a profit by putting their games on PS5? Now that is the question.
Remember, you wanted this.
Indeed you did. You wanted this. Let's just go back to the exclusive, because you're going to get lots of people going at Xbox now saying it's anti-consumer, it's not fair, blah blah blah. But let's just recap. For 7 years, you dug out Xbox. For 7 years, you told them they're useless, they're rubbish. Exclusives sell consoles. Xbox has no exclusives. You rammed exclusives down their throats. For 7 years, you belittled Xbox. For 7 years, you belittled Phil. For 7 years, you went to Xbox highlighting how important and arguing why exclusives are the most important thing in the world to gamers. You did this. You made that point for 7 years, and you threw it at a $1 trillion company. You threw it at Microsoft that have trillion dollars. It's the equivalent of a little rabbit just continuously slapping a lion, going, "Come on, is that all you got? Is that all you got? Is that all you got? Is that all you got?" They bit back. Xbox thought, well, yeah, okay, you're right. I don't support the whole thing. I don't support exclusives. I've made videos on it. I don't support it. I've been against it from day one. But I'll tell you what, I've hit a brick wall. What's the brick wall I hit was you guys. Was the people that says exclusives do matter. And I say, no, they don't, blah, 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 blah. No, they do matter. Nobody buys a console that doesn't have exclusives. Exclusives. You did this. You can all come at me now and say it's anti-consumer, it's wrong, it's not fair, blah, blah, blah. You did it. At the end of the day, everything you say, my comments now, I've seen some of the comments now, they're anti-consumer. You made them anti-consumer. If you want to call it anti-consumer, then Sony are anti-consumer. And why is Sony anti-consumer? Because you created the beast. If Xbox go follow that path, you created that beast too. And now you can't cry and damage control saying, yeah, but Phil said they won't have exclusives. You told Phil to have them. You winded him and said, Phil, put some exclusives on your console and I'll buy it. That's what you all said. I'm not going to buy that console and that's exclusives. And Phil's gone, all right then, I'm going to put exclusives on it. That's what he's for. So let me carry on reading. Furthermore, Spencer explained that Xbox plans to release future games developed by the newly purchased studios will appear day one on Xbox and PC via Xbox Game Pass. This is a huge deal. Just imagine being able to play the next Fallout and Elder Scrolls games with just one gaming subscription. Especially as the game's now gone up £70 on PlayStation 5. The value proposition of Xbox Game Pass just got a whole lot better after already being a great deal. Good tidings for next gen. Well, unless you plan to exclusively game on the PlayStation 5 or Switch. Spencer was open that while Xbox and PC will see Bethsda type games, other platforms aren't confirmed. Their versions will be decided by a case by case basis, meaning PS5 and Switch users will not get every Bethsda game, if any at all. While the deal with Bethsda, or rather ZeniMax, might seem as a direct attack against the console leader Sony, in reality Microsoft has its eyes set much wider. The treasure trove of IPs now under their helm will bolster the popularity of the Xbox Game Pass immensely. Microsoft has been approaching an open stance in regard to ecosystems for many years, and this is just the next step, and it is. And it's a step Xbox has taken thanks to the Sony fan base. So I'm going to leave this here. I'm going to thank you, Sony fans, for pushing Xbox to do this, to demand that you want exclusives, and to just be down their throats and nag them for 7 years, because your dreams may now come true. Thank you all for watching, and goodbye for now.